Okay, so speak your mind. You'll want to know what you have to do. Yeah, right front. Welcome aboard.
Basically, what we want to do right now is, after listening to everything in the auditorium this morning, and maybe some of you were thinking about this beforehand and during the time that Jeremy, there might be some questions that you might have about this issue. I could just suggest a few questions. First of all, why is it here in Canada that Canada has one of the lowest organ donation rates in the entire world? What can we do to fix it? What are the options? And any other questions you might have, why, if you don't particularly believe in organ donations, or you have some fears about it, we're encouraging students to speak up about that as well, because that's going to be very important to hear if there's anybody that doesn't feel strongly in support of this issue. We need to hear that, because everybody needs to be heard on this issue. So when we start these things, we usually say that there's always one person in the classroom that usually goes with the first question. I know you got one in this classroom. Usually when they say there are any questions, and then there's one student that raises their hand and asks, or did you want to think about, I think there might be potential here. Is there any question? Can I just pick somebody randomly then, if nobody's going to volunteer? Okay, then.
Why is the rate so much lower in Canada?
Okay, good question. Good first question. And most people are baffled by this, why there is such a low rate, because Canadians excel first in almost everything. So, because we know Canadians are very compassionate people, and so why are we the lowest rate in this issue? So, one of the things that I think is very prevalent is that there isn't enough attention and awareness to Canadians about this issue, and probably most Canadians already have some perceived concepts about it. They might think that their religion is opposed to it. It's a yucky subject. And so all these different factors could probably contribute to that. And then there's other things. It could be in our system. Maybe most people here want to be organ donors, and most people that we talk to across the country want to be organ donors. But then sometimes the problem lies when an organ is available, the family has to be approached because they have to consent to it. And at the time that they're approached, they're pretty much in a lot of shock. After hearing that they lost their loved one, they're in too much shock to say anything at that time. So that could be a problem as well. So it's all these different things that could be a problem, and it could be the issue. So we're trying to see how can we fix this. What are the ways to fix this? So that's a good question. And I want to, since you brought up that question, I want to let you know what other countries are doing, because they address these issues. They tackle it. There's 23 countries, most of them are in Europe. They developed a system called the opt-out system, which means that what they did, they seen how serious this issue was and how many organs were going to be placed in their countries. And these are countries like European countries like Spain, Italy. Please disregard my phone. It's going right here. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but it's doing it. And I didn't pick this song, by the way. Christopher here picked this song. Mine would have been more of a 60s song. But anyways, getting back to, these countries already wanted to make this issue a priority. So what they did was they passed a law in their country where everybody was already registered as an organ donor, and the people that didn't want to be on that list opted out. So there was, once they passed that law, the rate of donation suddenly increased in their countries. As a matter of fact, Spain, who did it first, last year recorded a 96% success rate in receiving organs for the people that were on their waiting list. So it's working in those countries, and that idea was introduced to Canada, and that should be an idea that should be discussed among Canadians, because sometimes it becomes an administrative problem. You know, it's not a matter of that we don't want to be organ donors, it's a matter of if we are, how can we be sure that it's going to happen? You know, so then that becomes an administrative problem. So what they've done in those countries was they kind of solved that. So, you know, everybody did become an organ donor that wanted to become an organ donor, and organs, you know, were transplanted. So that's something that you can think about, and we as a country can think about, or we as a province, because the province has the power to create a law like that. So if we're really serious about this issue, I mean, you know, we're looking at our country and there's over 4,000 Canadians, and for years and years and years and years and years now, and it hasn't gotten any better. People are still dying every other day. If there was a chance that maybe a system like this can solve it, should we give it some consideration? So that could be something that schools can talk about. You know, we can find out from school kids how they would feel about a system like that, and it's called opt-out. So what we're also trying to do is plant seeds in the school so that these discussions can develop, and that, you know, there could be maybe a survey done in your school. If you went around school, how many students would support a system like that? So if there was a few students that wanted to take on that project, that's another thing that we would encourage to see how that would work out. And after doing a lot of research about that system, and then having it presented, and then see how your school feels about it, and then possibly present it to your local MLA. You know, and this is how things get done. When there's an issue that needs to be addressed, we do things like this to get it addressed. So if your school did this, brought it to an MLA, and somehow other schools in Nova Scotia did it, and then all of a sudden you got your province of Nova Scotia looking at it, it could set an example for the rest of the country to do the same. So when I mentioned this morning that it's going to be the students that are going to help make the difference, that are going to make the changes, and I strongly believe that. You know, I believe that, you know, once students get involved in these kind of things, that they'll take it on and they'll try and make a difference, because nobody wants to, you know, see all these people that are waiting die, you know, and if something could get fixed and we have the capacity to fix it, you know, then why not try and fix it? So, Chris probably has a couple of words to say. You're good? You're all talked out? You did a lot of talking on the road. Yes. So, is there any other questions? I want to introduce Lou too. He's doing the camera. He's behind the scenes kind of guy. Are there any other questions? Thoughts?
What percentage of Canadians are organ donors?
That's a hard question to answer, simply because we don't have any way of indicating that, because there isn't a registry or anything like that. So even though, like today, you might sign your driver's license and discuss it with your family, there's no way of knowing. There was at least a 90%